Aaron, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, a mother and father who lost a son. At the end of the day, for Sybrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, the parents of Trayvon Martin, it is just that simple and just that sad. A jury's decision may add to the burden. A country taking up a vital debate in their son's name may ease it a little. None of it changes the ache of absence that won't go away, the ache that all parents feel after losing a child. Few parents, though, see their child described as a predator by some or adopted as a martyr by others, or have so many people define him to fit their agenda, whatever that agenda may be. So tonight, as we talk about all the greater implications of the death of Trayvon Martin, we don't want to lose sight of the simple fact that a mother and a father have lost a son. Joining me now is Sybrina Fulton, Tracy Martin, and family attorney Benjamin Crum. Thank you very much for being with us. First of all, how are you holding up?
It's very difficult, but I'm just taking one day at a time. It's very difficult.
Tracy, for you?
It's tough. We're just trying to stay strong. We understand that we have to stay strong for each other, our families, and we'll continue to take it one day at a time.
You were there in the trial every day, and at times you had to leave because of some of the testimony was too hard to hear. But were there days where you just thought, I can't go there today, or I can't do this?
No, I've never thought that. Every morning I got up with Trayvon in mind, and I said, I have to do this. I have to go. I have to just withstand just the trial process. So I made myself go. It was no doubt in my mind that I needed to be there. There were times, not necessarily the testimony, but a lot more the pictures for me. The 911 call, where it just seemed so final. The pictures at the medical examiners, the pictures at the site, those things were more hurtful to me. And sometimes I could sit through it, and at times I just needed to just go by myself and just say a prayer and ask God to strengthen me, because it was very difficult.
What did you hope the message of you both being there for your son during that trial, did you hope that it would send a message to the jury? Did you hope that it would send a message to all those who were watching?
The most important purpose was to give Trayvon a voice, because he's not here to say anything for himself. So we thought in our minds that we needed to be there to represent him, to show a face with Trayvon Martin's name. Okay, these are the parents and this is the family. These are the attorneys. So we just felt that it was important that we be there just to represent him.
And were there times sitting there hearing other people talk about your son, whether they were friends of your son or people who didn't know him or people for the defense? Were there times where you just thought that, I don't know who they're talking about, that's not my son?
Definitely, it was a lot of times during the court proceedings that we said to ourselves that that wasn't the Trayvon that we raised, that wasn't the Trayvon that we knew and that we loved. And we felt as though they were just mischaracterizing him. And we know that wasn't the Trayvon that we raised.
Were there, to be in a courtroom with the man who killed your son, did he ever say anything to you or look at you, or was there ever any kind of eye contact exchange?
Never. We refrained from even looking his way. We didn't want our emotions to run high, because we knew that our son legacy is lying in our hands. We are the face of Trayvon. The juries, that courtroom, we needed to be in the courtroom to let the court see that we were Trayvon. He wasn't there to defend himself, to tell his side of the story. We couldn't tell his story, but we wanted to assure them that we were there 110% for him.
When I talked to Darryl Parks one day, one of your attorneys, and he said that you all had talked ahead of time about not being there on the day the verdict came down. Why did you not want to be there on that day, and how did you actually hear about the verdict?
We didn't want to be there because we were told by the court system that there were, you couldn't do any outbursts. You couldn't say anything. You couldn't have any reaction. And we thought that was going to be pretty difficult for us either way. Through our attorney's advice, they told us, they suggested to us that we not be there. And we kind of weighed both sides and said, maybe this is not a good thing for us to be there, because either way, how could you be quiet? How could you not say anything? How could you not show any emotions? So I think by us not being there, it took the sting out of people seeing us react to it, because it literally broke us down.
When you heard the verdict on television, you broke down?
Yes.
How could you not, I guess? Did it come as a total shock? I mean, there were, you know, some legal analysts who were watching the trial who felt the prosecution wasn't presenting the case like some of the analysts wanted them to present it, or felt that they could have presented it. Did it come as just a complete shock?
It came as a complete shock for me. And the reason I say that is because I just look at people as people. And I thought for sure that the jury looked at Trayvon as an average teenager that was minding his own business, that wasn't committing any crime, that was coming home from the store and were feet away from where he was actually going. And I just believe that they realized that. But when I heard the verdict, I kind of understand the disconnect, and that maybe they didn't see Trayvon as their son. They didn't see Trayvon as a teenager. They didn't see Trayvon as just a human being that was minding his own business.
When it was 6 women selected, most of them, I think nearly all of them, mothers, you felt the fact that they are mothers, they might understand some of your pain. They might understand what it's like to have a son. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I just looked at them as people. I'm not particularly saying that because they were mothers, I assumed that they would say that he was guilty. But I just thought the human side of them, the human side of them would say, listen, this was a kid. This guy made a mistake. This wasn't a burglar. And just for them to suggest that that he was a burglar, or that by any means he was committing any crime, is just not true. It's absolutely not true. When
Mark Garagos, one of our legal analysts, he said that when the jury was selected, he felt the trial was over then because of the makeup of the jury. Did you have any concerns, Tracy, about the makeup of the jury? 6, no African Americans on the jury. There have been studies by economists in Florida. Looked at studies, one study from 2000 to 2010, that all white juries convict black defendants 16% more often than a white defendant. And if there's just one African American on that jury, it's about equal then. That discrepancy goes down. Did you have any concerns along those lines?
I didn't have any concerns about it because we thought that there was enough evidence there, no matter who was on that jury, to convict him of second-degree murder. And when you think about it, I think that they just took into account what George Zimmerman said was the truth. Trayvon wasn't here to tell his story, but the mindset of that juror, some of them had their minds made up, no matter what story was told.
Ben?
And I'll say, we've always said this was going to be a litmus test on how far we had come in equal justice, because you wanted to believe, no matter who's on a jury, that the victim, whoever they may be, could get a fair trial. And we were hoping for that. But as Mr. Martin was alluding to, they never saw Trayvon's perspective. They never looked at it. When you listen to the person you interviewed, they always looked at it from the adult perspective. They never looked at it from a child perspective, trying to get home, running, if you went with the objective evidence, and that Trayvon was defending his life. He went to his grave not knowing who this creepy, strange man was.
We got to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about what the jury perceived. As you know, I interviewed Juror B37. I'm going to play just a few of the things that she said and have you respond to them. We'll be right back.